it's just interesting when you put yourself all into anything in life. Over time, you learn a lot more than you would just reading a book or even getting like the shortcut from your buddy who's been in it, because there's something you just can't replace. And
Hey guys, welcome back to Yum Talks, where we have delicious conversations with the tastiest influencers on social media. Today we have a clip from my conversation with Benji Travis, where he shares the biggest mistakes he sees new YouTubers making, his 7 C's to success on YouTube, and which one he thinks is most important. This was an awesome conversation. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Please drop it a like and subscribe if you're new. When you talk about that chasing that dream, right? You were saying you had that dream
mm-hmm.
for going on Food Network, but I would say you've achieved a big dream that a lot of people have in terms of having a good amount of success on YouTube, right? Like you have over 2
Thank
million
you.
subscribers across your channels. You wrote YouTube Secrets, which a lot of YouTubers connect to the reason why they're successful today in their YouTube careers. So I want to ask you just a few questions around YouTube that may benefit our
Sure.
audience and the people who are interested in pushing out content there. So the first one is, and is something I want to learn from too, being a newer YouTuber, is what are the biggest mistakes you see YouTubers making?
Yeah, well, the first thing I'll tell you, I never did make it as a Food Network star, but I didn't need to, like you said, because there's no gatekeeper there. There's nobody that is determining, are you going to be the next thing that we're going to feature? They've got all kinds of shows now, like finding the new Food Network star. You can
Mhm.
be a star right from the get go. But one of the unfortunate things about that is you're not going to have a team of people. There's not going to like be producers or editors or shooters to kind of make you a star. Like you have to do it yourself. And so a lot of people do make mistakes when they go onto YouTube or just on social media in general. But I'd say the number one mistake is they try to do everything all at once. And so in addition to YouTube, and maybe having different types of content go out there, they're probably trying to also grow on Instagram or on TikTok or start a podcast. You know, the best way to grow on YouTube is just to have the one channel, one type of very specific content that's got a very focused value proposition. So if I was going to start all over and I was 19 years old and wanted to be a Food Network star, I would literally just focus on one type of food and sharing those recipes on a video quick, right? I'd say like anywhere from 1 to 5 minutes. I would be known as a guy's like, hey, I'm going to get a good recipe out of this 5 minutes. And then I also think about search and how people and what people are searching for. And third, I wouldn't worry about anything else, no other places. And I would just solely focus on YouTube as a platform, because one of the things that makes YouTube unique is I've had videos that I posted 8 years ago now that still get views today. And you would think after 8 years, there'd be other videos that are even better. And there are way better. But for whatever reason, my videos just hit like just right. And we call them evergreen views. And so as a platform, it's this video library that's
Mhm.
archived forever. And because their search is so good and their algorithm, which is run by artificial intelligence now, knows that for this person that likes this kind of content, that search this word, Benji's video or anybody's video is perfectly positioned. So we're going to like put that in front of them. And that is what's very powerful. And just always keeping that in mind. And so for, of course, food, people that love food, especially if you're teaching something, always consider that. But like having that sole focus is very important, because it's hard, it's difficult, especially with so many people wanting to start channels and be YouTubers. It's competitive. So how are you supposed to be the most competitive you can be if you're trying to be everything everywhere? Just be the best thing in one place and you're going to have way more success. You're going to get to success faster, and maybe even faster than you maybe thought, because again, you're just solely engulfed in this one place, versus being kind of spread thin. So
Mhm.
that's what I would say. The number one mistake people make is just being too spread thin and not super focused.
I love that. I love that. And someone who feels spread thin at times with
Yep.
my focus on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, I get consistently reminded that, hey, my passion is in TikTok right now. I am trying to do new things in YouTube and Instagram, but if anything were to happen, go back to your roots, because it's what you know, it's what you're focused on, and ultimately that's where you're being able to express yourself creatively.
Totally.
So I love that, and I think that's really good advice for someone considering starting out. So my next question is actually in reference to your YouTube Secrets book, which I would say you talk a lot about getting started, right, in that book, and how you do that is expressing the 7 C's, right? So my next question is, throughout the 7 C's, which one would you consider as the most important C to encompass as you're getting started? And why would you say that's the most important C? If you could get an overview to those who don't know your book, by the way, of what the 7 C's are, that would be great as well.
For sure. Yeah. And so one thing I would say, by the way, I have a copy of YouTube Secrets right now. Following up my first answer about being spread too thin, I think is really important. That literally the 7th C, consistency. So all the C's are: number one, courage. So be brave enough to know that even though it's scary and you don't know everything, you just have to do it. Secondly is clarity. I mentioned a little bit before, like having a focused value proposition. Like, what is it that you're going to be offering to your audience and they're going to get out of your videos? Like, have an understanding of that to the T. Channel is the third one, and that's really about branding. What is it you're going to be known for? What are people going to see when they go to your channel? What is the banner? What are the thumbnails going to look like? What is the reputation that you want to build? Fourth one is content. So that's the video itself, right? Like, have great content and make sure you deliver on whatever it is that you're promising. A fifth one being community. So engagement is huge when it comes to social media, and especially on YouTube, because with every person, right, no matter if you're just starting out or you're 10 years in, every person is a human that values what you put out to be able to spend their precious time on. So you should value them too. The sixth one being cash. And of course, money is really important. We got to pay the bills. But the seventh one is really the most important, in my opinion. Consistency. I talked about the number one mistake people make is they're not focused on what it is they want to do and where they're going to be, and they're spread too thin. The second biggest mistake is they quit too early. Consistency isn't just about putting out a lot of content. Consistency. So, like, for example, I'd rather see you consistent, Will, 1 week every week for a whole year versus putting up 52 videos in the first 52 days. Because there's something about, like, putting up a video and, like, kind of looking at your results and learning in the next 7 days for the next upload, right? And so over time, you're going to get better and better and better. Secondly, you're also creating a behavior with your fans, whatever they might be, whether they're your first 10, first 100, 1,000, first 100,000. They know that, hey, Benji's going to show up every single Wednesday. And so that is really important. So those two within consistency is so important, and kind of goes along with it. And this is a point of me, like, you just can't quit, especially with just social media being so loud, so many options out there. It's going to take a while. I suggest to people, give it a good 1 to 3 years. This podcast, same way. I just started my new podcast called the Influencer Green Room. I've already got, like you said, 2 million plus followers. I've got, like, good influence on different platforms, but I'm treating it as if I didn't know anybody. I don't know anything. And it's going to take me another 3 years, because I really do believe this consistency is so important. Don't get me wrong. I would love to be the next Joe Rogan in the next few weeks, but the reality is I might not see that for a decade. So who am I to, like, try to expect or even try to hack my way through instant fame? I know that consistency is what's going to bring the wisdom to be able to help me make the right decisions to be able to get those views or those listens, downloads. Like, I'm learning a whole new language here with podcasts, right? So it goes without saying that consistency is definitely the most important C of all those. Don't get me wrong. The reason we wrote 7 C's is because they're all principles that anybody can apply to any channel. But if I had to pick one, the consistency is the biggest part, because you're going to learn all the other things. You're going to learn you're going to get courage after doing it, right? Because what happens after a year of uploading every single week, if they don't get a lot of views, you're going to learn a lot more about editing. You're going to learn a lot about uploading, right? Even like the cash, like making money. You're going to explore different avenues of cash flow or income opportunities, because you're just going to be exposed to some of the new tools, right? You're going to see other videos. It's just interesting when you put yourself all into anything in life. Over time, you learn a lot more than you would just reading a book or even getting like the shortcut from your buddy who's been in it. Because there's something you just, I know, I don't want to get into a rabbit hole, but like Clubhouse is a great example. The reason Clubhouse is so important to people, and Clubhouse is this app, like audio-based social media app, right? Is because people are just spending a lot of time. We create relationships. I never met you, Will, before you and I got on the Clubhouse. And instantly within like 5 to 10 minutes of hearing your testimony and how passionate you were, and honestly, like you were just so humble in you asking the questions and just being willing to learn. I was like, I want to be on that guy's podcast. And I think you even mentioned like, hey, by the way, if anybody wants to be on my podcast, like I think I DM'd you. I don't know if I even said anything, but you know, that's the power of just being there consistently, you know, like, and you know, being present for a long period of time. And so it goes the same with YouTube. And this is why showing up every single week is probably the most important thing you can do in life.